Theresa May has admitted that Brexit could be delayed due to a climb down she was forced into to avoid another embarrassing Commons defeat. Ministers today threw their weight behind a compromise amendment on Brexit Day, to strike a deal with rebels who were threatening to kick up a fuss. Theresa May has been forced to make a compromise on her plans to put Brexit Day in law. Mrs May was forced to say today that it could put back the official date of Brexit but only in exceptional circumstances. She told MPs during Prime Minister's questions if it were the case, it would only be in exceptional circumstances and it would be for the shortest possible time. We are not talking about extensions. I am clear. We are leaving the EU on March 29, 2019. The Prime Minister wanted to enshrine the day which Britain leaves the EU in law 11 p.m. on the 29th of March 2019. But Tory rebels argued this would tie our hands in Brexit negotiations, and said talks could go right up to the wire. Sir Oliver Letwin tabled a compromise amendment after ministers and whips held talks with concerned MPs over the weekend. It leaves the date on the EU withdrawal bill, but can allow Parliament to vote to change it if negotiations overrun. Brexit Minister Mr Barker said today that ministers had listened to concerns and had given the technical ability to amend this date. But he said, it could only happen if the EU and UK decide to change the day which treaties cease to apply, as in Article 50. When quizzed by senior backbenchers about whether the trade deal with the EU can be finished in time for the 2019 exit day, the PM said earlier that is what we are working to do and that is what I think we can do. We start off from a different position from other third countries negotiating with them, because we start off with the same rules. Mrs May told MPs she had not begged the EU for another few years in the bloc. She also denied that she had begged the European Union for 2 more years, in the form of a post-Brexit transition deal. The Labour whip's Twitter account said that the government had been forced into a humiliating cave-in on date for withdrawal. Sir Oliver told The Telegraph he hoped that it would be enough to satisfy rebels, saying, as far as I can make out, all will be well. MPs including Brexit supporters, Jacob Rees-Mogg and Sir William Cash are behind it, as well as former rebel Stephen Hammond, who was sacked as Vice Party Chair last week after he opposed their government. Politicians are debating the EU withdrawal bill for the final time in its current stage this evening, before MPs break up for the Christmas recess. Damian Green sacked as PM's deputy for misleading public over office porn. Theresa May blasts ex-police officers who exposed Damian Green's porn lies. Process of counting Grenfell death toll which proves conspiracies are wrong. Council tax set for £107 rise as Sajid Javid approves biggest increases in 14 years. Who is Damian Green and was there porn on his work computer? London is acid attack capital of world with areas delivery drivers won't work. PM vows to protect Gibraltar as Spain demands veto on Brexit transition. Theresa May is mad as hell and she's not going to take it anymore. Government to ban builders selling new build homes on leasehold terms. BBC will cover Muslim, Sikh and Jewish festivals on chat shows and dramas. The move is a climb down for Mrs May after she suffered a humiliating defeat last week in the Commons. A group of 11 Tory Remainers joined with Labour, the Lib Dems, and the SNP to slap the government down by just 4 votes. They made the government accept a change to make sure MPs get a final vote on our Brexit deal, which some are worried will open the door to force Mrs May back to the negotiation table. But worried MPs are concerned that Mrs May could be considering reneging on her promise to respect the vote. Today she refused to tell MPs that they would get a vote on a statute on the exit deal. She said it slightly depends what you're talking about. Concerned Tory rebel Anna Soubry demanded Mr Baker commit the government to the vote, but he commented that it was a matter for the report stage. When pressed again, he said, "We have stood at this dispatch box. We have accepted amendments and we have moved forwards on this bill, shaping this bill to comply with the will of the House." But Chief Rebel Dominic Grieve warned kicking a hornet's nest is not a good idea. And Labour's Paul Farrelly said MPs may feel like they are being led up the garden path.